When it comes time to actually sit this exam and take it, there are some things that you absolutely must do. There's 3 things you absolutely must do to give yourself a chance to pass the exam. Arrive early, have a plan on how to take the exam, and do not get psyched out. Don't go in there and get nervous. Don't go in there and get freaked out. Don't go in there and start the mind games. You will shoot yourself in the foot, so to speak. So let's talk about arriving early. Get to the testing location at least 15 minutes early. If it's a location you're not familiar with, you've never been there before, drive over a day or 2 before. Make sure you know where you're going. Go into the building. Make sure you can find it. You do not want to arrive frantically after having driven across town at 120 miles an hour, gesturing everybody on the freeway and all that stuff. So you want to arrive relaxed. Use the time when you get there early to whatever helps you most. I've always used it to refresh myself on any material that I've memorized that I need to just know from memory. You may feel better walking around the building, walking around the parking lot, whatever. But just walk in the door for the exam refreshed. Now, have a plan. When you enter the testing room, here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk in. You're going to tell them you're there to take an exam. They're going to take some ID from you. They're going to take your cell phone and stuff away from you. And then at some point, they're going to take you into the testing room. Calmly look around and take note of your surroundings. Don't just grab a seat and start banging away on the exam. They probably won't let you, but also try to sit as far from other test takers as possible. Now, if they try to sit you down next to somebody and there's a bunch of empty seats over on the other side of the room, tell them, say, I'd like to sit over there if at all possible. Sometimes, and I've always liked to try to find testing centers that have one computer in a small room and I'm in there by myself. However, those are getting harder and harder to find, and there's rooms with 8 or 10 people in there. And you don't want to get next to the guy who whispers his questions out loud, makes groaning, moaning sounds, gets mad and slams things and, all that kind of stuff. Also, sit down at the computer, make sure that you're going to be able to use it, make sure it's acceptable, make sure the mouse is working properly, it's not jumping around, the battery's not weak, make sure the screen is focused, it's not tinted, it's not got waves in it. You'd be surprised at some of the equipment that I've seen in these testing centers, and you don't want to deal with bad equipment. To begin the exam, they're going to tell you to enter some type of a code. Usually it's your social security number. It may be a code that they give you. And once you enter that code, you're going to start the exam process. Do not begin that exam right away. You need to take whatever piece of paper or write-on wipe-off board that they give you. There'll be one right there by the computer, or they'll give it to you on the way in. You want to, before you start any exam, write down any memorized information on that pad. You want to use this as a reference sheet once the exam starts. You don't want to try to remember stuff under pressure. Anything that is important to you, anything you have trouble remembering or keeping straight, put it on there. You may even want to practice creating that information a day or 2 before you get there so you can do it real easily. Use that time to get acclimated to the room, get used to the sights, the smells, the sounds, the way the chair feels, all that kind of stuff, but get comfortable in there. Then get help from testing personnel on anything before you start the exam. Once you start it, they can't pause it, they can't start it over for you, all that kind of stuff. So if there's a problem, get up, walk out there, tell them what the problem is, all right? Distracting neighbors, bad computer, bad chair, sitting under an air conditioner vent, sitting under a heating vent, whatever. If you're not comfortable, don't start the exam. Now, don't get psyched out. This is probably the biggest one. You're going to enter your code to start the exam, all hyped up and you're ready to go, and the exam doesn't start right away. You're going to get some type of questionnaire from Microsoft. And use this again. Use this to relax, get used to the computer, get used to answering questions on the computer, and just chill. Now, once the exam begins, here's the rules. You're going to read the first question very slowly and totally completely. Every word in the question. Do not anticipate where they're going. Don't try to start finding the answer before you have slowly and completely read the first question. Read it twice. Then, don't be surprised if it looks like you're taking the wrong exam. If you're not absolutely, totally, 100% positive about the correct answer for that question, skip it. Here's what happens. You go in there nervous. You get the first question, and suddenly all these thoughts start coming into your mind. I knew I shouldn't have done this. But you will start to second guess your entire life if you're not careful here, okay? So if you're not absolutely sure about that correct answer, skip the question. The problem is you're nervous. Repeat this process. Go through all the questions on the exam. Only answer the ones that you're absolutely positive what the questions are. Strange thing happens. After about 3 real easy answers, you settle down, your brain starts working, and suddenly you start considering a career as a Microsoft senior staff architect. Some questions will answer other questions as you move through. So that first question that you're confused on, a question later on, question number 38, may give you a hint or shake something loose that will answer that question. Keep moving through the questions, answer the ones you know. Don't constantly check the time, just glance every little bit. Do not stare at a question for 10 minutes. Keep moving through the questions. If you know it, something will shake it loose. Just trust yourself. And then with about 10 minutes left, use the process of elimination. You will be down to 4 or 5 really difficult questions. Use the process of elimination for the possible answers. Then make a guess, take your best shot, and then you will be done. And I'm telling you, there's a good chance you'll pass if you went in prepared and you knew the material. You have not shot yourself in the foot by getting psyched out and losing the mental aspect of this process.